across the world, you know.
That's crazy. Now tell us about your suspension pieces. What do you have going on?
So the car's on coilovers right now, Fortune Auto coilovers. In the front we have the MPC drop forks. We have the PCI front upper control arms off of an EK with the spherical ends instead of the rubber bushings. The whole suspension's been redone on the car. The tie rods are OEM inner and outer Honda tie rods. The lower control arms are OEM Honda control arm. All the ball joints are new. The brakes are a custom brake kit made by Brian from Fast Brakes. The front brakes are six piston wheel woods with a 330mm rotor. And that's actually a kit off of an Integra Type R, because the CRVs, the first gen CRVs, they use the same calipers and the rotors as the Type R. The only difference is the center hub on the CRV has a larger bore, so the rotor had to be machined out in order for it to work, you know, on this knuckle and on this hub. The rear end is.
Did you say this was supposed to be a daily?
It was.
And then you're not trying to do like any performance or competition?
Yeah, the rear brakes are again just a one-off custom kit made by Brian again. I actually don't know anyone else out there with a CRV that has a dual caliper rear setup. And the reason why I went with a dual caliper is because I wanted a bigger caliper in the back for the primary braking, the hydraulic. So the back also has a 330mm rotor with a 4-piston wheel width caliper. But as you can see, it has a secondary mechanical caliper just specifically for the handbrake. And it's actually made it to the factory e-brake lever. So inside the car, it's all 100% OEM. We had some custom cables that'll go attached to those guys, and it works just like factory. So that little caliper is strictly just for the handbrake, while the 4-piston is the hydraulic main braking caliper. This was the most pain in the ass installation, and the whole process of it was the most pain in the ass part about this car. I mean, it was over like a 2-day labor time to do that conversion. Yeah, definitely worth it to me, man. I mean, you know, I'm back with some nice C28s. I didn't really want to see the rusted drum. So a disc conversion was a must for the rear end of this car. And unfortunately, you can't really use like a disc conversion off a Civic or an Integra because it's an all-wheel drive model. So the hub in the middle actually has to accept the axle shaft. If it was a front-wheel drive model, you could have done one off of like a Civic or an Integra using the hub off that. As far as suspension in the back goes, we have the PCI spherical trailing arm kit, which was never designed for the CRV trailing arm. We custom fabricated it. It's the one off of an EK. So it has to be a lot of cutting and drilling and measurements and all that, but made a world of difference. We have the PCI toe arms in the back, the PCI rear upper arm. The lower control arms are still stock. Braided brake lines all the way around, obviously. And then going to the back of the car, we have the 50/50 taillights, so no amber on top. We got the full mark rear bumper, full mark rear trunk. The molding on the trunk, I got it painted matte black just to match the moldings on the rest of the car. And actually there's a CRV embroidered in here, which we shaved off. So it gives it a nicer, smoother touch. The car actually has a rear view camera connected to the stereo unit that I did with Apple CarPlay and everything. Yeah, I wanted to go for like an OEM plus kind of a vibe, you know. Nothing too crazy, but I like to have all the I like to have all the, you know, modern amenities, I guess you could call it. We got the rear wiper delete. All the shocks for the latch and the tailgate have been replaced with OEM Honda shocks. And that's pretty much it for the exterior of it as far as I can tell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about your wheel and tire package setup.
So the wheels are 17x10s actually. They're CE28s, factory 50 offset, originally designed for an S2000 fitment. The 50 offset didn't work with this car because it's too high of an offset, so it was touching the knuckle and the trailing arms. So after using that 25mm spacer just to make things work, it fits like a glove. In the back, with the towards the trailing arm, there's probably about 3mm of clearance, if you could see it from the gap right here. I don't know if you get your camera in there, it doesn't really matter, but pretty tight fitment. Down the line, I do plan on getting some different wheels, so I don't have to use a spacer anymore. But yeah, the tires are 225 45 17 Potenza RE71Rs. Really sticky tires, works really well with the car. It actually took a lot of work to dial it in for it to be, you know, functional and still have kind of like that stance going on with 17x10s. It wasn't easy to make the 17x10s work.
So tell us a little bit about the interior.
So the interior is primarily stock.